I mean, I kind of use the prostitution angle and the even the religious angle as a metaphor, because, why do people do those things? And why do people pay for sex? Why have people paid for sex for such a long time? It's been one of the oldest jobs in a way. A lot of actresses in the theater in like the 1700s and in the 1800s. First of all, there weren't actresses, and when they were courtesans. And Sarah Bernhardt was a courtesan. Matter of fact, the intermissions were so long in the theater. That was because sometimes people would see someone on stage and then they'd have like an encounter during the intermission. So actors were not allowed to be buried because they were thought they were like, basically they were considered the same thing because they were performers. So I've always been interested in it. There's always been some very fascinating films over the years, foreign films, American films, and iconic performances from like Barbara Stanwyck, to Joan Crawford, to Elizabeth Taylor, to Anna Magnani, to Knights of Cabiria, which is one of my favorite movies. And it's something that interests me. I like Midnight Cowboy, obviously. So when I met with Woody, when Woody and I were talking, and I thought we could be good together. I thought, well, if we were in the sex business, that would be really interesting. And Woody was like, yeah, this could be perfect, for us, And I thought, well, maybe we would be good together. Maybe we were getting into the business or getting out of it because of circumstances, but maybe it would be an unlikely pair. And then I started thinking about, if the guy, I have friends who are around my age or younger or older, they still live by themselves. And they're alone. They're they're like a samurai type of existence. And I thought, well, that would be interesting, especially if it's a guy who's very comfortable with women, who likes women. Because there are lots of men who are even married or whatever, but they don't really like women. But they're not really comfortable even working with them or socializing with them. They're more of a guy's guy. And I thought, that's something that I'm comfortable in that situation, maybe because of my relationship with my mother or my wife or a woman who's a costume designer in a film. We shared a workspace for years. We're really close friends. I have a lot of women close friends, and I thought, well, that could be interesting. And I also I like the idea of a guy who is a physical person and who could do things physically. Take something apart, take an engine apart, make a meal, work in a flower store, and he wasn't a salesman. So he was an unambitious person, which you don't see in a lot of times in a movie, but a very competent person, but lonely. And then interacting with all these women who are lonely for different reasons. And I thought, well, that could be, interesting. And also the idea of beauty, of what people associate with being beautiful versus being sexy. And sexuality comes in all sizes and shapes. And hairdos and colors and whatever it is. But I thought that's interesting because sometimes you meet someone and they're not really at all beautiful, but they're very attractive in some way. And I thought, well, that's interesting to explore if we light it, right, and we control the palette and we make it palpable like a rich painting is or a rich photograph. And then you can enter into this photograph or this novella, a type of thing.